After an alien attack, humanity is forced to hide in underground shelters. The world leaders of Earth try to keep people in the dungeons, but there are soldiers who kill one of the aliens and learn the terrible truth. 50 years after the attack of the mysterious creatures, all humanity lives underground, although there are some people who refuse to go down into the bunkers. The only way a normal person can get back to the surface is to become a soldier and serve 100 days. One day, a soldier with the call sign Someone completes his training and gets into a tank to drive to the Cerberus outpost, where he will have to serve his duty. Along the way, the military encounters people running towards a safe haven called the Escalating. The tank drops off the soldiers one by one as they reach their assigned posts, and finally, it is the Sum's turn. But the soldier cannot get into the bunker immediately because the door is jammed, so he climbs the watchtower to contact his superiors. The soldier is identified by DNA and the system congratulates him on the start of his 100-day service. He will have to monitor the area, track the aliens, and send those who get lost to a safe house. The defense ring is in order. There is no infiltration into the territory. All cameras are functioning. Power is stable. But upon arrival at the post, the soldier was not met by the one he was supposed to replace, and this is a violation of regulations. The commander reassures us that the former duty officer with the call sign VAX-7 was evacuated for medical reasons. He was called up from the reserve and now he must strictly follow all the rules, not leave his zone and be very attentive, as his vigilance is a condition of humanity's survival. He is given a daily access code and instructed how to get into the bunker through a secret passage, allowing him to go outside. Someone sets off to settle into his new place. Once inside, he discovers that the room is untidy and empty. Some puts away his rations, has a cigarette and polishes his glass, listening to the systems urging him to think about the safety of himself and his family. At night he dreams of laughing children, but the daily alarm clock tells him how many days are left until his active duty ends, and Some takes up his daily routine. Exercise, shower, checking the grounds, and eating from his rations. At lunch, he suddenly hears strange noises and sees movement in the corner of the room, but has no time to realize what it is. Later, he reports everything to the commander, but the commander calms him down. Everything goes on as normal. At night, he sees children having fun again, and in the morning he repeats the previous day's routine. Exercise, shower, food, and a single cigarette. Each day is an exact copy of the previous one. There are 87 days left till the end of the service, when Someone manages to catch an unknown creature, which turns out to be a white rat. But the animal runs away without giving an opportunity to examine itself. Just then, a message arrives that the creature has attacked the refugees, after which there are no survivors. Someone activates a system check and reports that the defense lines are intact, but the soldier clearly sees movement in the bushes on the tracking screen and reports it to the commander. The commander denies any penetration and tells him not to worry. There are 71 days left until the deadline. The rat, whom he calls Doctor, is no longer afraid of the man, and the latter feeds him. One day, an alarm goes off about a malfunction in one of the cells. So the soldier goes outside to perform maintenance on the security system. He walks around the outpost, fixes the camera, and finds a dead bird in a tree with a tag with his predecessor's number on it. Just then, the system alerts him to toxic emissions, and Some heads off in the direction of the bunker. When he returns to the bunker, he informs the commander of everything that has happened, including finding the token. But all his concerns are all too quickly dismissed. The commander assures him that VAX-7 is just sick and is now in the bunker, where he has already recovered. The commander's too strange speech makes him doubt even more. With 65 days to go, the United Nations warns of the danger, urging people not to stay on the surface, as resistance to the creatures is futile. One day Some once again goes out into the area and after warning of toxic emissions, he notices an unidentifiable creature in the thicket of the forest, which runs away from him. He reports it again, but the defense ring has not been breached and there is no reason to worry. Someone goes to investigate the bunker and finds a bloodstain on the wall, whereupon he begins to suspect that VAX-7 shot himself and was not evacuated at all. The soldier tries to get the video camera footage from the warehouse where it happened, but the system denies him access. Some then decides to break into his partner's still-locked locker and finds a sketchbook and a radio. Among the drawings, he sees a sketch of his Cerberus post and the neighboring Graham post, and this piques his interest. 54 days until the end of his tour of duty. Someone thinks more and more about the neighboring post and goes to Graham's once to try to make contact, but it turns out that he can't cross the perimeter because the implant in his leg prevents him from doing so. activating pain anytime he tries to leave the ring, and the audio commands are urging him to return to Cerberus. He decides to backtrack a bit and climb a tree, hoping to make contact by waving and shouting to Graham's duty officer, but gets no response. Back at his post, he revisits the archive files and suddenly discovers some sort of creature on the internal camera. The power goes out, and behind him the soldier feels someone moving, although the equipment sees that there is no intrusion. Someone runs outside and fires at the bushes, shooting down the bird. He reports the malfunction to the commander, who promises to send a repairman and reminds him of his duty, as he only has 40 days left. Some again tries to access the archive, but it is impossible, as the data was lost due to the power surge. The next day starts as usual, but suddenly the soldier feels sick. He takes his medicine and accidentally cuts his finger, when suddenly he hears a cheerful children's song from his predecessor's closet. It turns out to be Vax 7's radio turning on, and the neighbor from the post, Graham, is calling his longtime acquaintance. He quickly realizes it's a different person and cuts off the conversation despite requests to talk to him. The power goes out again and the soldier reminds him of the specialist, to which the commander tells him about an attack on the post where no one survived, so getting to remote outposts is very risky. A few more days pass, someone goes out more often and one day finds a woman and a child hiding from him in a cave. The man tries to persuade them to go down into the bunker, but the pair run away as if they are afraid of him rather than the creatures. Back inside, he hears a warning about a few strays who are in danger, but now he's not sure they want to be rescued. He talks to the rat more and more often, telling him about the children he dreamed about. It turns out that the ability to dream was a thing of the past, but now he suddenly has it, and it's a sign of mental illness. Someone keeps trying to call his neighbor, but he doesn't get in touch. One night, the soldier goes out into the territory and kills a huge deer, which he cuts up and eats with pleasure. He increasingly behaves like a savage, shooting at targets and walking around without a helmet. One day, he again makes an attempt to contact Graham by sending a signal through the mirror, but gets no response, which infuriates the man. On his way back, he enters a toxic emission zone and almost passes out. In this delirium, he again sees a strange creature that runs away from him. When he regains consciousness, he tries to convey to his neighbor his opinion that Vax 7 is probably being kept in the woods, but he is silent. With 14 days to go until the end of the service, a repairman arrives at the post and reports a recent attack and the deaths of many people. The man is not happy because he smelled a rat. He tells him that the soldier's predecessor was friends with a rat, which to him is the height of stupidity. The repairman dispels the fears by explaining that the rat on the wall is himself in a glitch in the system, and strangely enough, the cameras in the defense ring are disabled, although the soldier has just checked them. And then a rat climbs up on the table, and when the repairman sees it, he throws it away by force. The soldier rushes to the immovable body and asks it not to die, which finally pisses off the repairman. The soldier takes him at gunpoint, ordering him to disable the internal camera and unlock the archived videos. The repairman refuses. Someone beats him, but he still can't do anything, as the penetration requires personal access of 2 security guards. The men fight again. Someone is injured several times, but still wins. The repairman then tells of his experience with the aliens. When he was a soldier, his helicopter crashed in the desert, and only he and his partner survived. The repairman goes to get help, but failing to find any, he returned and found a second soldier with no ears. It turns out that the alien affects a person through hearing, and the guy cut them off himself in order not to hear the terrible sound. And during the storm, he saw a huge shadow circling around them, but he never realized what it was. When they found him, his lungs were full of sand, and there was a catheter in his throat. The soldier locks the repairman in the bunker and after dressing his wounds, reports to the commander that he's fine. The man then guesses that the predecessor's access can be obtained from his walkie-talkie. He finally manages to open the archive footage, from which it becomes clear that Vax 7 has gone mad from fatigue and tension after all. Someone reports this to his neighbor. The soldier is overwhelmed by conspiracy theories. He is convinced that the leadership is deceiving the common people by inventing aliens, since no one has seen them, and that the mission to send people underground is a ploy to limit the consumption of dwindling natural resources, while the rich and powerful are not limited and enjoy the leftovers. He asks his neighbor for a meeting, to which the latter reluctantly agrees. With 7 days to go, when hearing the system's next announcement of a creature attack, someone goes into a rage and smashes the annunciator with a jar where a rat just got in. Realizing that he has killed his friend himself, he goes outside naked and sees the monstrous creatures again. Pulling a pair of deer horns out of a tree, He mortally wounds the monster, but finds a tattoo of VAX7 on his body. He returns to release the repairman and tells him of the plot, certain that it was his narrative that drove his predecessor mad. But someone will not be spent by anyone else because he is no longer afraid. The soldier demands to be shown where the power goes out, as he intends to save people by disconnecting the protective lines. The repairman is horrified. He will ruin humanity, but obeys the madman. Someone contacts the neighbor and informs him of his decision and that he is on his way to him. It is time to end the insanity that keeps people underground, and the man promises to wait for him so that the barriers will collapse and people will be free. There are 6 days left until the end of the service. Someone gathers his gear and heads to Graham's place, also letting the repairman go. After reaching the defense ring, he disables it. Upon reaching Graham's outpost, he hears a noise. Going inside, he tries to find his partner, but suddenly he feels sick and he hears screaming in his ears. He sees human drones attacking the aliens and realizes he made a mistake. He runs, dodging the blows, and is found by a repairman to help, but a creature appears and eats him. Someone tries to escape the creature and makes it to the bunker. He hides inside and again he hears the horrible screaming in his ears. The screaming stops and the creature bursts inside and attacks someone. This is the end of the movie. Write in the comments what you think about it.